I'd like to welcome back Brett Ribotsky, who I personally feel is better than Starbucks in the morning, keeping us awake and energized, and thank him for being such a visionary in our field and realizing that not only does fungus pay the bills, but fungus is probably very important to our success as a profession. Thank you.
Wow, a lot of pressure now. Thank you all. It's kind of fun. All right. Let's get some things started. Computer on. Everyone have a great time yesterday?
Yes.
Can you believe the doctor stayed in the meeting at 7 p.m.? I'm sorry. You don't see that anywhere. That's like unheard of. Like, you know, who would ever do that? It's kind of scary. 7 a.m. and people are still there in a meeting. Well, today's lecture was something I first gave in, I think, 2006 at the Midwest meeting when it hit me, because I go and reassess myself, goal setting and stuff people do every year. And I looked at where healthcare was going, and I said, you know, it's really cool to do all these surgical cases, and I realized that the rep was making more money than I was, and he wasn't getting the phone calls. It really started to piss me off. But I noticed, though, this back years ago, the rep had the new Audi, whatever, fancy race car, R8 or whatever, and I didn't. And something didn't make sense. So I came up with the idea, surgery's fun, but fungus pays the bills. So to really look at this, we gotta make sure we get, there we go. That works. We gotta have fun, right? You're not gonna do this anyway. And how can you miss a Sunday morning without some battery, right? You gotta have some battery though. Again, we went through yesterday about Podiatrist. I was shocked yesterday that some of you haven't registered yet. Why? Let's start off with it's free. Second reason, it's free. Third reason, it's to make you money. I mean, I would say I have about 10 or 12 people have sent me letters over the years. They're making $50,000 a year extra from things they work. And 50,000 is good. And I coined this whole kind of lecture called infotainment. Thought it was kind of cool how other people were using it. Because I try to live my life with one concept. The last thought that goes through my brain at the end of every day should be, wow, that was spectacular. And if you live your life with that mantra, it's kind of fun. Right? I did this yesterday. Hold on. I erased that. Sorry. Time is relative. I mean, that's really the big issue in what we do. We sell time. The only thing that's fair, Bill Gates and I have the same number of minutes a day. That's it. Mark Cuban and I, he don't get any extra minutes. That's it. But time is relative. You ever taken an airplane flight across the country? You've now, you know, we've all done it. You land 5 hours later, you get on the plane, no problem. You get up, and you wait the 2 minutes for that door to open. Holy shit, that door takes forever. I've been still on a plane 5 hours. You fly to Europe, or you go to Australia, 12 hours, you're on a plane, it doesn't bother you. It's that 2 minutes, waiting for that door to open. Minutes feel like hours in that moment. How about the first date with your future spouse? Time stopped. Right? Relatively speaking, you were on the phone, you went out, you talked for hours, looks like seconds in the weirdest thing. So hours feel like minutes. Attending a boring lecture. My God. I mean, minutes feel like days. All of us have been there, we've all sat through them. It's like, and sometimes people are great scientists and they give great knowledge and great information, but they're lousy showmen. And then you have people who are really great showmen and are lousy scientists. Hope I fall somewhere in the middle there. But minutes are like days, and of course when you deal with attorneys, you know, it's a whole different thing. Minutes are charged like hours. You have a 10-minute phone call with the attorney, and there's a bill for an hour and a half. Well, I took notes of the meeting for an hour. I like what I talk to my associates. That's your shit. That ain't right. When anybody gets an attorney agreement, they always say you get an engagement letter. Never sign it. You'd be an idiot to sign it without changing some things in it. They only get to charge my time. They don't get to charge. Imagine if we could bill patients for research.
Yes.
Isn't that? We don't get to do that, and you got to pay up front. We're the only group in the world dumb enough to go to work for less money every year than the year before. That's not smart people. I tell my patients, the doctors aren't bright. Educated, yes. Bright? Not even close. Maybe plastics. Dermatologists are bright. They caught on to it. And the interesting is dermatologists doing real dermatology is so rare.
Yes.
They all want to do the beauty stuff. You want to get into a dermatologist, there's a survey in the Blue Journal, the AAD journal, that showed that the first visit for a dermatologist for a regular wellness or whatever exam, 5 months. Botox tomorrow. So doctors, we only get paid for our time. And time is relative. So let's blast off and try to take a different view. And we get a different view. Hopefully I was able to do that a little bit yesterday and can do that today. Because I want you to have a different perspective as we go forward. A little Buffett also helps the morning. Let's get it going. Because beauty's out there. But that doesn't mean danger is ever far away. We've got beautiful stellar constellations. But sometimes danger's coming. Don't be a fool and not be ready for it. All that stuff. So we in practice today, right? We live in an inelastic market. Our prices go up. You guys raise your prices to your patients? Should we? Price? Of course you do. You don't get the money. You know, your employees need more money, get a raise. Every other business in the world passes along the costs. We can't. We're in a fixed market. Pretty lousy. New York City transit workers went on strike because they weren't getting an 18% pay raise. We don't even get paid the first 3 weeks of April if we go to work. I'm absolutely sure. I call APMA and gave them. You know, they don't want my. I'm sure I'm on the caller ID with skulls across it or something. Definitely Glenn Gassler's phone. I actually called him, was standing next to him, and it was taps. It was kind of cool. The music came on. But it's like, this is the greatest opportunity to get on the press and TV and tell everyone how dedicated your physicians are. And we go to work, even though Medicare says, well, we don't understand, the Senate went on vacation. So you know what, for the next first 3 weeks, we're going to pay nobody. And we said, okay. You know, patients aren't happy today, right? I mean, that's the other paradigm we live with. They all think they pay so much for their insurance. And then they go, well, I pay a lot for my insurance. I said, Super Bowl tickets are expensive. They look at me like, they got to take the senators, they got to take all the payoff people. Insurance companies make money. But any city in this country, the largest building is an insurance company.
Yeah.
Name on the top. So you would be an absolute fool not to invest in them. Because they think, you know, your retirement investment portfolio should be full of insurance companies. They never lose money. Pretty fascinating. Doctors aren't happy, right? So it got me. Who's happy? Somebody is. The insurance companies. And this is Bill McGuire. A couple years ago, he retired head of United Healthcare. $128 million, number 3 on the Forbes list. Here's a New York Times article. Medicine's top earners are not MDs. Welcome to the game. Skyrocketing salaries for insurance CEOs. This is the head of Aetna. You know, don't you feel bad? I have these signs all in my, and I have a little book in the waiting room. Not sure. Reception area. Nobody waits, they're received. But doing so, when the patients bitch, I said, this is why. They're not paying us. Because as Gordon Gekko said,
ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed, in all of its forms. Greed for life, for money, for love, knowledge, has marked the upward surge of mankind, and greed, you mark my words, will not only save Teldar paper, but that other malfunctioning corporation called the USA.
Greed is good. Great line. Nothing wrong with being greedy. I mean, we're philanthropic, we give it away, but if you can't keep your doors open, who are you helping? I find that my employees don't like to work for free. Can you believe that? I'm absolutely shocked. So let's talk about, we're going to do surgery. So here's my hospital, across the street from my office. You know, notice every hospital always has a score between 99 and 93 as the best ranked hospital. Nobody ever gets below 93 because that's the lowest number you can get on that scale they use. Because if you're a CEO, you're not going to have a survey done that you can't win. You know you need an A. You go to one of those companies. So here it is. the phone rings, you got a consult. You're excited, you bow down, you start running out the door because you want to take care of these people. So I walk across the park, that's my office parking lot, walk across the thing, go in. Of course, I go in the back door, I got an ID pad, I'm pretty cool. You're walking up, think of the clock ticking, because this is time. Time is money. You got to go talk to somebody, and how's your kids, how this, you get stuck, you hear about their heel pain. You walk through the door, you gotta take the elevator upstairs to the patient's room, you walk down the hallway, you walk in the room, and you go, oh shit. Okay, this is kind of cool. The person's got a messed up foot, there's a wound, it's oozing. Okay, what do I do? I said, well, let's find out what's going on inside. This is where my ego kind of gets in the way a lot. So order some tests, and you start looking, going, okay, what do I do now? So, what do you do right before you do anything? You eat! That's what you do, right? You eat. Then you go to the doctor's lounge, right? The happiest place in the world. I mean, that should be a TV show. Most depressed people in the world hang out in the doctor's lounge. You feel really good about yourself. You go in there, it's a vortex. They suck it out of you. You feel like that. You go to the doctor's, then it's up to the locker room. You gotta change. Right, put your clothes in your locker, go down the surgery entrance, walk downstairs, gotta put caps and gowns on, all this is going on. They're never on time, right? You're always delayed. You gotta go talk to the patient again, remind the family what you're doing, why you're doing it, why it's important. You go into the operating room, you open it up, and you let the bed to the bone. Pretty good to get that time. You open it up, it's full of pus, you clean it out, you need to do something definitive, so you do an IND, I put it back on it, and I go dictate the report, leave there, walk across the parking lot, back in my office, and that took a lot of time. I'm going to show you, we're going to go through the minutes of time. So here's where my ego gets in the way, I put it back in, sponge, I say, I can fix this, I'm that good. Yeah. So I decide, hey, everybody years ago were playing with these frame things. This is really cool. So I've taken courses, I played. And you feel like a really cool surgeon or a really great kindergartner, one or the other. They're pretty close. You erect your sets, you put it together. I mean, it's kind of cool. I won't grant you for it. But nobody tells you the whole story. It's actually hard work. I didn't realize I was sweating. You put this whole thing together, you feel really good, you hook up pumps, dressing, you're so happy. Meanwhile, while I'm in the OR for those 4 or 5 hours, what is my very productive staff doing during that time? Well, they're catching up on their sleep. They're catching up on their reading, making sure they're up to date. You know, they're on Match.com working on the social side of their life. Another one's on eBay. So this stuff's, well, you're not there. Watch what happens. And then I send the bill out. This is really cool. I'm so proud of myself. I got nothing. Zero. Now, the patient got better, the rep got money, my staff got paid. I got nothing. But I'm okay. I'm the smart one. I went to college, medical school. So this is what it should have paid. I mean, this ain't worth the money, but an arthrodesis is $800 a frame, a bone graft. You're saying, yeah, okay. But that's not what you really get paid, right? The arthro decided that my second procedure is worth half. Haven't figured out why. My accountant's second tax return isn't half.
Right.
Nobody else. You buy a second donut at Dunkin' Donuts, they don't give it to you for half. The woman goes, it's the same effort. Pick one, pick two. You don't have to ring up anything more. Why did we accept this as organized medicine? We said, we're sheep. We'll leave the slaughter. Didn't go anywhere. So this is what I should have got paid, $1,100. The bare minimum. So let's look at it as a consult. The consult paid $100. The IUD about just under $600. The Charcot repair, you know, for fusing everything, $1,100. $1,800 is what I should get paid for all this. Was that great or what? So let's think about it. The consult took me 45 minutes, and $102 is $2.26 a minute. Okay, the IND, easy 2 hours by the time you got there, got home, no problem. That's $4.90 a minute. And the Charcot reconstruction, $3.87 a minute. That's not good. Sounds good, but I don't know. But that's not the whole story. They never tell you, there was a guy named Paul Harvey said, Now you need to know the rest of the story. Here's the rest of the story. You gotta change the dressings. You can't leave this to your staff. They can't do it. You have to do it. So you can never say goodbye to these people. They swell around their pins. They're so inconvenient. These people. Right? Hey, how do you get the staples out? I never thought about it. The frame's in the way. You can't get that little instrument that you squeeze and take staples out. No, you gotta take two hemostats and bend it when the person's screaming at you and the family's watching. This is a lot of fun, isn't it? I figured 12 to 15 hours easy on taking care of these people. Easy. $1.29 a minute. I'm looking really good now. This is a good business. So that's what the price is. You know, on this one guy, it was almost 15 hours. And that didn't include the complications. Of course, he had to break his pins. You know, these are diabetic, neuropathic. The reason their foot fell apart is a reason. It's cerebellar. They don't do what they should. So when they break their pins, it's fun. You gotta go back to the operating room, put on more stuff. I, of course, put an advertisement on the front of the frame. If they're gonna walk around, I'm gonna get credit for it. Now I do it in a little metal plate that I screw in. It says, under construction by Dr. Ribotsky, and my phone number. So when they're in the mall, they go anywhere, I get the credit. They go to other doctor's office. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it. Then there's the paperwork, the charting. It doesn't work. Is it worth it? Now here's another guy, an IUD procedure. You run to the hospital, it takes pus out of the foot. I billed $2,200. They allowed almost $200, and then only paid 20% or 80% of that. And the other guy, you go try to get your money now from people. It's amazing what we're willing to accept. So is it worth it? The positives, right? It satisfies your ego. You help the patient. I mean, that's really the goal. But I'll say the only reason you do these cases, ego first, patient second. The smart decision is referral first in some of these things. Revalidate your reputation. You know, if you say you're the big guy in town, you've got to be able to do what they want you to do. It's cool marketing. Of course, the person screaming in pain going for IV antibiotics because of the foot infection sits next to everyone else getting IV antibiotics, and they talk about who their doctor is. Well, if you don't educate your patients to give a good sales speech about you while you're getting IV antibiotics, they might just say anything. You know, you've got to talk them into the other people there. Hey, what doctor do you go to? Oh, you should have come to my doctor, man. This guy's got it together. And sometimes you get a couple. Now, you get the reps to love you. That's probably the most important thing. They come by, they give you hugs. I mean, who are the reps, right? They're Ken and Barbie dolls in the world. That's who they hire. I hate to be sexist, but most men who are doctors early on were nerds. They studied, they weren't the cool people. So this gorgeous, blonde, voluptuous woman walks in, every guy's like drooling talking to her. And now it's the reverse. They bring in the good Ken doll. Does the same thing now for women. And the reps love you. I mean, this guy, that frame cost $24,000. He made $5,000. I deal with everything, and he make $1,100 or $1,800. Something's not right. And then, of course, you know, splints and braces. Here's where it's kind of amazing that an Arizona brace is much more profitable than anything else we do. It's clearly something not to miss. The negatives, high risk. You know, your documentation has to be so good because they're going to lose their leg. Either it might be before they die or after they die, they're going to lose their leg. Somebody's going to take it from them and take something out of it. But this is high risk. It's hard work. It's not easy doing some of that stuff. It's stressful. I remember once, I did go to surgery all day, and I went home, and my dad came over, and I said, yeah, I was in surgery all day. It was like 7 hours. It was exhausting. He goes, I worked 10 hours. What's your problem? So I need a good line now. I go, yeah, but you pee when you want to. Not the same level. I mean, those who operate realize there's 100% mental attention. You don't get to take that mental break, and that's not easy to do unless you've trained yourself to do it. So you get a lot of calls, a lot of time, and very little dollars. So is it worth it? So I think it's time for a change. That run? Show me the money is the thing. I can't believe it didn't run. What if we excavated the diamonds that are in what we do? I mean, we have I remember when they were doing this, looking to do the study at Anacor with Keradine before it became something Tobavironol or whatever it is. And it's after TAV. But they asked me, how long would it take me to get 20 patients with onychomycosis? I said 11:30. Right? How long does it take you to do that? Now, you got to get them to fit the criteria. They want absolutely healthy people who are sick. You've never done research. You want somebody who's dying of this but has no other problems. That's what they look for in research. And those are people. So I said, what would have happened, hard to read, what could I have learned if I was treating fungus? Right? And we all see this stuff all the time. You know, we take a piece of nail, we grind it down. So I just treated fungus. Let's just break down the economics. So a new patient comes in, depending on what you bill, I would encourage everyone to use at least a level 3 code. It's complex, you know, you do your document, you do a full physical, all that, so that gets you around $100. And then follow-up visits pay you in the $50, $60 range, and nail debridements are in the $40, $50 range these days. You can do testing in KOH. What you don't do is you don't do x-rays, you don't do therapy, you don't do anything like that. So I figured out how long does it take you to do each one of these codes. So if it's a real, you know, I use 202 very rarely, but that's the guy who has a splinter or something, or comes in with a specific focus problem. I don't have to look, he's, you know, track and field athlete, he ripped his toenail off. Not worried about diabetes and circulation or all that stuff. So 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes, it's $6 a minute. A new patient, it's $4 a minute. But obviously, the most profitable thing we can do is a follow-up visit. You can bang out a 212 in 5 minutes. You can easily do 8 to 10 of those an hour. Well, when the documentation starts, you'll get at least 3 of them done a day. And maybe get the right code and have to go to review over that. Because the code is going to kill you. But this is what does. For those who were here yesterday, my half's a dermatologist, and it's fascinating to see that their office drastically under bills. I mean, after I have to educate her providers, it shows them they're all billing 212s. They're all doing 213 stuff. I eventually see podiatrists who bill 211. Why? Yeah, you still, remember, undercoding gets you in trouble too. In primary care, I think it was family practitioners who got in trouble with that because they would bill it for refills and nurses calling patients. But remember, look where you're, and do this yourself. Figure out what works for you. What's your cost per minute? So I'd much rather see the quickie visit. And the follow-up tibia pedis visit is a quickie visit. Come in, check the cream, do all that stuff. So here's the BMed data. BMed, and everyone who's an APMA member has access to this. You can get, this is a long time ago, but I just wanted to show you $250 million was spent cutting toenails. In 213, it was, let's see, we got to add up 212 and 42. So we're about $275 million. In 215, it's 268 and 50. We're at $320 million cutting toenails. Now, what's happening over these years? Are more toenails growing? We got more people. We are in a growth market. We're in a financial decline market, or we're in a growth market for problems. Here is this one, 2013. This is from David's lecture. 325, add that to this one. We've crossed $400 million in cutting toenails. And we learned yesterday that we don't need toenails. I don't know here. I don't know if I put all the eggs in that basket. Sometimes government's going to find out about this. So, you know, you do your claim, you make good dollars in that, and you feel pretty happy. Cut your nails, send a specimen to the lab. You know, the idea that we're going to scrub a nail, sterilize it, send it, you know, we get nothing for sending it, and he makes almost $500 between the PAS and the polymerase and all those things. And he sends me a beautiful report for $500. I mean, how dumb are we? We need to partner. We need to come up with something. He needs to, you know, pathology labs do a lot of things. If anybody's ever been to a big derm meeting, you'll see money spent like you've never seen before. I'll put in maybe lectures, some pictures later, but the AAD booths are over $2-3 million a piece. Were you there? But Allergan's booth was $3 million. For 4 days, they spent wooing dermatologists. Because why? They sell an empty bottle of nothing called Botox. Because we'll look later, the bottle's got nothing in it. It's, you look, that's bubonic plague. This is what it is. But but the concentration. So the documentation for nails is relatively simple, right? You have them, you don't have. This is my old before I went to the Sandy system, which Sandy system takes me 5 times as long to do. I love it. And I know that Ken Katz and Brody are anal enough to successfully use clues. They're working at it. I know they can worry about PQRS, MU. I don't care. I almost want to pay the penalty and not do any of it. But why give up 8 to 10%? I don't have to. If somebody can give me a computer solution, it's worth it. And when I bought the program, effectively it was free, right? You paid them money, government sent you a check. Of course, everyone still gets our sequestration, right? You people in Washington, why are we still paying 2% reduction? Well, no, we just took that. Okay, screw doctors, who cares? You know, that's how it goes. So tinea is a bad disease. 10% of the world has it. It's increasing. It's men. Summer months. I mean, all these things are pretty common. All kinds of different treatments available, creams, lotions, potions, all this stuff. So the real big question is, when you take all the creams and line them together, which one to use? Does it make a difference? You know, I don't know. There's some things, like if they have open, cracked wounds, you know, they've got the redness, oozing stuff. Naphthal's got alcohol in it. That's how you get a gel. That probably hurts. Probably not use that, but the other creams, you try one, when it doesn't work, you try the next one, and all those things. So I look at what are the important attributes to writing a prescription, right? The first thing is, does it work? I mean, that's got to be number one in everything each one of us does. Does it work? Second thing is, does it make the problem go away? Last thing you want is phone calls. The most unproductive phone call to your office is the patient asking a question or following up on something you could have done. In the derm business, 45, 50% of our phone calls are where my path results. And it's a massive problem. And I've been working on solving it, and I think we have a solution in place for the patients get automatic calls and all that. But it's a big problem because what happens is, you know, you get the chart, and what happens, the next chart gets on top of it, the next chart, and then the doctor doesn't sign the charts. And you know, I mean, the weakest link is clearly the doctor and the lack of training, and that's the big thing in derm practices. Cream, ointment, gel, foam. Anybody ever use a foam? Dermatologists love foams. That's the coolest thing. But you use foam around hair, and that's the real reason for using foams. There was a company that marketed the podiatry, and we're gonna revolutionize the market. We're gonna use foam. Well, we ain't gonna buy it. First one who comes out with a tube on a stick that the patient who can't reach their toes gets it, makes a fortune. That's the problem. And all these things. I like to see, do they support podiatry functions? If they're all the same, their booth better be here. You know, especially if I don't have to pay for it. Then you get the pricing, and we could talk. I had a Meet the Master show a couple weeks ago about specialty pharmacies. You ever wonder why there's a CVS and Walgreens on every corner? That's where the money is. You write a prescription for, let's imagine, a drug costs the pharmacy $80, they sell it for $100. Okay, reasonable 20% markup, you can live with that. So the pharmacist goes, do you want the $100 drug or do you want the generic, which is $65? Well, you'd be an idiot not to say the $65, but the pharmacy pays $5 for the $65 drug. So instead of making 20%, they make 300% return. They bonus, they spiff the pharmacists and everyone else, they make a fortune. But that's the pharmacy game. And that's why, okay, what is it? Philidor or something is one of the ones, for every drug prescription I write, I have to send a prescription to a different thing. I just imagine it's FedEx planes flying around with all this fungus stuff in it, going everywhere. What's the full cost of treatment? If one works in 2 weeks and one works in 8 weeks, well, the 2-week one, if it's more money, still works. I'm not really sure if that really comes down to working, because I don't think I've ever seen tinea pedis cured. I don't think we cure it, I think we manage it. We keep it up. Anyone who has onychomycosis, I'll show you some poster sessions I've had at the AAD on that. So if I looked at treating tinea, what do? Well, that first visit, 10 minutes, $75. The second visit, 2 weeks later, $45. And then they come in 2 weeks more, $45. If you don't have it under control, they come in 2 weeks. You're being a doctor. You're monitoring a problem. This is good. You're monitoring it, you're checking it, you might even make it 2-on-3 on the next visit. I turned $8.35 a minute of my time. Now remember the Charcot reconstruction was $1 something a minute? Surgery's fun. Fungus pays the bills and all this stuff. So how I treat tinea, I'll give you my thing. Use it, don't use it, teach me something new. I always treat both feet. Because I've never seen anyone go somewhere with their right foot, leave their left foot home. They tend to shower with both feet, you know. So the people who give the little 15-gram tube to treat just one area, why? It's gonna, you know, treat both feet. That 60-gram tube. I treat everyone in the house, right? Treat all the members of the home. Now realize most people who live in the same home have the same insurance. Practice management tip. You gotta have your husband, your wife, your kids, they all have to come in. I wanna check them. So I treat everyone in the house. There's 3, 4 more patients, 1, 4 visits. I just increased my revenue quite a bit. But I did epidemiologically good medicine. I'm curing an infectious disease, right? No problem, that's where it works. Have them change their socks twice a day, dry their shoes between wearing, all the common things we do. The shoe sterilizer thing, I've tried it. I can't judge whether it works or not. Patients complain the bulb goes, 4 months later they call me the bulb went out. When did I become a service center? You know? So now my handout on those things, when you buy it, is call the company, just like Amazon does, or something. Antifungal power daily, I mean, that stuff kind of works. Here was one of the papers I wrote, Concomitant Treatment of Tinnitus or Onychomycosis. There's a poster session, it was published in Cutis, and the essence to it is that yes, you can make people better, but they will always get it back again. I believe you, and I treat them for life, twice a week. And then I rotate every couple of months, every tube is from a different company. Because I figure eventually the fungus will get smart, and Naftin won't work anymore, and we'll try something else. Here was a follow-up one that was done. This was I think that was a summer AAD the following year that was accepted. It's also published in Cutis. We did some roundtables. So when I reevaluate my practice and started looking at the numbers and all that, I had to make a decision. Do I want to be the big shot, cool surgeon, go to ACFAS, walk around with the expensive watch, and I'm the guy, man. The funniest is going to one of those meetings, they all walk around like they're the person. It's kind of funny. And nobody's watching. But they all think they're so cool, but the real reality, the people in the lecture hall don't make as much money as the people in the exhibit hall. But they're acting really cool about it. So you can do all the cool cases, and you get to use really cool power equipment. I mean, this is the Bob Vila and all guys want to use this really cool stuff. And you don't have to clean up in the INDs and live in a beautiful home with a nice satellite dish, you can have a projection TV. If you make those decisions, because that's where you're going to live. Or you decide you're going to have the finer things in life and enjoy life a little bit and practice a heck of a lot smarter and do things a little bit different. So I thought I'd go through quick things. Let's go through some leadership things because the next lecture is really long, so I made this one a little bit short. And we'll go through, you got to create the right environment, the right atmosphere, and the right group of people. And we all have somebody in our office we should have got rid of a long time ago. Every one of us. Might be in your home you should have got rid of too, some people have that. But if you're not at 100%, why compromise? Life is way too short not to play full out and do that. So, right atmosphere, right group of people. If you don't have the right team, you can't motivate the team you have. You got to really give some thought to it. Sometimes she's been there forever, 20 years. How can I let her go? Okay, you're the wimp. So we got to find. I'm going to merge practices with somebody else, and they can say there's no room for this person. So you're not the bad person anymore. So there's ways to do that. You want to communicate the big picture. What job is you really? Because we talked about that a little yesterday. What do I do? No, I'm not. I'm in solving problems. Everybody should have a 20-second elevator speech. Hey, how are you? Tell me about it. So, you say, hi, I'm Brett Ribotsky, and I am passionate about making people live to their fullest. I want them to walk without pain. I don't want them to lose their parts. And working together, we can fix those aberrations that get in the way. Who doesn't want to do that? If you were going to do a sales speech, and you could take every potential customer in your world and put them in the stadium at one time, what would you say to them? What could you say to 80,000 people at the same time? Would you tell them, okay, those people have heel pain? I think it was Jay Abrahams who said that 3% of everybody needs something. If you took 3% of the people in this room need new tires on their car. 3% of people in this room need a washer dryer. 3%. But if you average, we sell washer dryers. Well, you're only going to get attention to those 3 people. How about healthy, fresh-feeling clothes? Everybody wants that. You just made your world a lot louder. You want to educate. You need to teach your employees to be better people. They need to, from when they tag in the morning until they leave, they have to be a walking example of your practice. They need to, when they walk a patient back to the room, as we talked about yesterday, oh, you're back again. How great. Let me tell you, Dr. Ribotsky just got back from this incredible meeting in Baltimore. He can't stop talking about it, where he shared with all these people and learned so much. Like, wow. Does your office want to do that? Of course they don't. They don't want to do it. They want to tell you how much their life sucks. I'm working so hard, my dog's got problems, the kids aren't doing what I say. Because we talked about yesterday, if you're feeling really sad, people give you a hug. Nobody likes somebody who's doing outstanding. But you got to change the record. You know, I kind of remind them all the time, do me a favor, check the door again, whose name's on top.
Yes.
They like to think their name's on top. Delegate. Only do what you can do. You're the doctor. Do not do anything you don't need to do. You can't. Do we all do it? Of course we do. I've unclogged the toilet more times than I wish to remember in my office. I've done, I've done inventory. I've opened packages. We've all done that job. But if we want to bill out our time at the maximum amount, $8 a minute isn't bad, right? That's $240 an hour. That's, $1,500 a day. That's kind of small. Could you bump this up a little bit? You should be able to get $10, $12 a minute out of your day. I mean, dermatologists are averaging, Marta's per patient per visit is $370. Per patient per visit, she spends 5 minutes on average, 5 to 8 minutes. Which is why they drive Rolls Royces. It's a different entity. They can afford that. Hibernate. Sometimes take a break. Sometimes we jump in to help the job. Let them do it. Because I remember early on in my practice, was it Bernie Hirsch, the guy from Texas? Yeah. Yeah, great guy. I only met him like at the beginning of my life. But he said, if you have 5 patients for the whole day, give them just as much time as if you had 50 patients. Because when you spend too much time with them, they start to think, what happened to him? He doesn't think I'm important anymore. That was a great lesson. But you got to make that 5 minutes, 10 minutes you spend with the patient seem like an hour. So what do? You always sit lower than the patient. Psychology 101. Sit lower than the patient. Always touch them when you talk to them. Put your hand on their leg. Feeling pulses, whatever. Don't go above the knee. Look, guys, you get in trouble that way. But you're always, how many podiatrists are doing breast exams? I mean, the guy in PM News we read about. Sure, that works in. It's part of gait analysis. I don't know. Become involved. But if you're doing that, talk to them. And the most important thing to remember, and it's the hardest for me in the world who talks way too much, is one mouth, 2 ears. Use them in order. Right? You should hear twice as much as you say. But you got to ask probing questions. And the hardest thing in the world is you already know what's wrong with the person. Right? I get out of bed in the morning, my foot hurts, I take a couple steps, it feels better. My brain is left. I'm on autopilot now, right? We all know what's going to happen. So it hit me a while ago. Why not automate that? My whole speech about heel pain. The first time you get the heel pain speech in the morning, you're really good. You get the drawings, and you're looking really cool and explaining. By the 5th time that day, you suck. You have no interest in doing it. So why don't you have somebody in your office videotape you doing it? And then you say, okay, you have heel pain, watch this. We put an iPad in their lap. Hi, it's Brett, and I'm going to tell you about your heel pain. I do this whole thing with drawings and all that. I'm in the next room. I have now just doubled the number of people I can see at one time. So these are some easy tricks to do. Evaluate the performance, not the people. That's the hardest thing to do, because we judge. It's very hard not to judge people. You make an impression in seconds. I walk in and my glass looks like this. You have made an absolute opinion jerk. Somebody's missing one front tooth. Redneck. You got a pre-programmed, that rut we talked about yesterday. But try to look at the performance. And we're all I'm bad at this as everyone else. Performance reviews are done at the absolute last minute, and they're just sometimes perfunctory. It's much better. I do it much better in her office than in my office because I'm not there all the time. I can come in as the independent external person looking at it. And sometimes that works maybe for your practice. Have somebody else do these reviews. And cut those things that aren't working with your company. We all keep hanging on to the same thing. I still have boxes. I forgot what it was. Cortichrome, something I can't sell for 10 years. I started giving this. And you buy things at a seminar, you try to get a really good price, and I realize if it doesn't work, they become my Thanksgiving gifts. Because, how many people give Christmas gifts to doctors and stuff? I mean, a lot of people do that. Why? Thanksgiving. First, you do it on Thanksgiving, you're really giving thanks. 2, they don't get a lot of gifts in Thanksgiving, so to remember you. And 3, most important, if you gave them a gift, they're going to give you one back. Because you get Christmas, you don't get anything back. And how much of that basket industry? Take $5 worth of junk and charge me $100 for it if you wrapped it in saran wrap. Right, it doesn't cost as much. Buy early. If you really want to buy your Thanksgiving gift, start looking in September. And buy candies, things. I actually gave wine out, had my label put on it, had private labeling done. Then the people want to buy more of it. Here's the thing. So let's a couple jokes just to leave the morning. You lost an elderly Florida couple called 911 on their cell phone to report that a car has been broken into. She's hysterical. She explains the situation to the dispatcher. They stole her stereo, the steering wheel, the brake pedal, even the accelerator, she cried. The dispatcher said, "Stay calm, an officer's on the way." A few minutes later, the officer radios in, "Disregard, she got in the back seat." 3 retirees, each with a hearing aid hearing loss, were playing golf one fine March day. One remarked to the other, "Windy, isn't it?" "No," the second man replied, "It's Thursday." The third man chimed in, "So let's have a beer." No idea what's going on. Little old lady was running up and down the hallways of a nursing home. As she walked, she would flip up the helm of her nightgown and say, "Super sex." She walked up to an elderly man in a wheelchair, flipping her gown at him and said, "Super sex." He sat quietly for a moment or two and answered, "I'll take the soup." A senior citizen was driving down the freeway. His car phone was ringing. Answering, he heard his wife's voice, "Urgent, Ron, I just heard of the news. There's a car going the wrong way on Interstate 77. Please be careful." "Heck, Ron," Ron says. "It's not just one car, it's hundreds of them." So, secrets to success again, honest and dependable. I like ending with this all the time. Be never to lose. Deal, communicate effectively with people. Don't be afraid to be innovative, be different. If you're like everyone else, you're going to be the herd. You got to stand out. You got to build your brand. You got to be best you can. Focus your time and money on what works. You never know that unless you experiment and check and see where you're going to be and all this stuff. Analyze the details. If you can't measure it, you can't earn anything for it. Be persistent and work hard. Remember, the elevator to the roof is always out of order. You got to take the stairs. You can't do this too easily. Never, ever stop learning. I mean, if there's a seminar you can go to, give up a week. That's why I told Joel, great idea to have this in Baltimore because it's a cheap airport to fly you, right? A $200 ticket. I mean, everyone should be here. Take action. Decide upon your dreams and goals. If you don't know where you're going, you're there, right? We have a whole map. We need 2 things. We need to know where we are and where we're going, or we can't do anything. You need to have 2 points on the map, and how you think is everything, whether things are good or things are shitty. Enjoy it. Everyone get their pictures? Hold on. Do all that. Practice what you learn. Tomorrow's the future sees it. We'll talk later. We'll do aesthetics in a little bit, but I'm going to bring back our fine colleague and let her go educate us. Thank you.
Our next speaker, returning this morning, is Dr. Kindred for a discussion on psoriasis, eczema, and skin of color. Are there differences in presentation and treatment? And then we'll have a panel Q&A.